Okay, I'll start. Oh yeah, this is gonna be some fun stuff.
Megatron must be stopped, no matter the cost.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Autopod Decepticast. This is your bi-weekly podcast that delivers an episode-by-episode breakdown of the original G1 series. This is our episode number 152, covering episode number 45 of the Transformers series in production order, episode titled Quest for Survival. I'm your host, Aaron, and I wanted to tell you about how I met my two co-hosts. You see, it was the early 60s. I was a schlubby, spectacled loner living in Skid Row. I had a job at a struggling local flower shop owned by a real fuck of a man. But the good news is I got to work every day with my shapely, squeaky-voiced crush, Caleb. And my boss was about to permanently shut down the shop, but I saved the shop financially by displaying a strange plant that I purchased from where else? Chinatown. This plant is a little bugger that I keep in a coffee can, but if I'm being honest, it kind of looks like if my dickhead could smile. Anyway, in tribute to my love, I named the plant Caleb 2. Customers come a-flocking to see this plant, and over time it grows to a gargantuan size. Come to find out, this plant eschews Miracle-Gro and can only be sustained by the power of human flesh and blood, which I provide painfully drop by drop. The plant eventually talks to me. Tells me he's going to need some human flesh. Other than that, things are pretty good in my life. I was getting some media attention, but one problem I had is that my buxom bosomed dream partner, Caleb, is actually already spoken for by a sadistic, abusive dentist named Ryan. Well, I plan to put the brakes on Ryan's breathing by posing as a patient and pulling the trigger on him, but he does himself in by asphyxiating on some laughing gas. So I chopped Ryan up and threw him into Caleb 2's mouth. Well, let's fast forward a bit and just clarify everything. Caleb 1 and I fall in love. Caleb 2 ends up eating my boss. Caleb 2 tries to eat Caleb 1, but I arrive just in time to save her. I mean him. Pronouns. I return to the shop to destroy Caleb 2, tussle with the plant for a bit. As it destroys the shop, uproots itself, and sings a rocking soul jam. Luckily, I was able to grab an exposed electrical wire, which I used to shock the shit out of the plant, and blow it up. And then Caleb and I got married and moved to the suburbs.
Hooray.
And here we are.
Yep.
I get it, because it's a plant episode.
I like it.
In researching this stupid bit, I learned that the ending we see in that movie is not the original ending to Little Shop of Horrors. Can I tell you about this?
Sure.
Please.
It was originally shot with and I knew it was a theatrical or like off-Broadway or Broadway, but it was originally shot with an ending that was actually closer to the off-Broadway musical. And in this original ending, towards the end of the movie, the plant attacks Audrey and mortally wounds her. Seymour shows up just in time. He pulls Audrey from the plant's jaws, but it's too late. And by the way, I should say, all of this has been filmed, and you can find it on YouTube, and it is wild. But Seymour shows up, pulls her from the plant's jaws. As she's dying, she tells Seymour to go ahead and feed her to the plant so that Seymour can earn the success he deserves, and in a way, she'll always be with him. And there's a whole song built around
That
this.
is bizarre.
So Seymour then feeds Audrey's dead body to the plant, and then he attempts suicide. He plans to jump off the roof of a building, but he realizes that Audrey, too, is planning global domination. So he climbs from the roof to destroy the plant. He tries to kill the plant, who basically tears apart the shop and then eats Seymour and spits out Seymour's glasses. So that's how you know he's been digested. And the plant's laughing victoriously. And then ultimately, there's this like 5-minute postscript to the movie where Audrey 2's buds become this worldwide marketing phenomenon craze, and they end up growing to an army of giant plants that take over Earth. There's scenes of them stomping over large cities, destroying buildings, flipping cars, battling the military, eating people left and right. And the movie ends, you see them ascend the Statue of Liberty. And then there's just ultimately one of them, I assume maybe the original Audrey 2, bursts through the movie screen to simulate, I guess, eating the audience.
I like that better.
Yeah.
And that was all filmed, but
That's all filmed and edited. You can find it on YouTube.
It just didn't screen well, obviously.
It didn't screen well. Audiences didn't like it, so they reshot the ending that we all know.
Have you ever seen the black and white original version?
Mm-mm.
Jack Nicholson?
He's in.
Yes.
Yes.
Jack Nicholson's in the Ryan role. No, he's in the wacky patient, the Bill Murray role.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it.
Tell us more.
That's the only interesting.
Is it a musical?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So the off-Broadway is
I
based
can't
on that, and then what we saw in the 80s is based on the off-Broadway.
Honestly, it's been like 25 years since I've seen it, so I don't remember much about it, except that early role of Jack Nicholson.
There's some great tunes.
No, I meant the black and white version.
Just some great shots.
Okay, let's move it along.
Jet, why don't you whip up something squirmy and wormy that's going to flap all about and eat me from the inside out?
Ugh. Gross.
Feed me, Ryan. Feed me.
Ryan, what do we got here?
So I mentioned this a while back, and again, this drink does not tie in with the episode at all. It's a Jet original. Did you guys have you watched the movie An Evening with Beverly Loughlin?
No.
Neg.
It's great. It's on Netflix right now. It's a 2018 British-American comedy film starring Aubrey Plaza, Emile Hirsch, Jermaine Clement, and Matt Berry of Garth Marenghi's Dark Place fame and the IT Crowd, and Craig Robinson.
Cool.
So
Good crew already. I'm sold.
I won't break down the whole plot and everything, but basically Plaza plays Lulu Danger, and she's in an unsatisfying marriage when a mysterious man from her past, the titular Beverly Loughlin, played by Robinson, comes to town to perform an event called An Evening with Beverly Loughlin, for one magical night only. It appears to be set in the 80s, and its humor is like super dry and weird, as you might expect from that kind of crew. So in the movie, there's a drink in there that you keep ordering called a rum and a ramble. And that's what I made here. It's completely unclear what the drink is in the movie, apart from it being brown and chocolatey and I assume made with rum. So I made this. It's a rum and a ramble with 2 ounces of rum, 2 ounces of Bailey's Irish cream, 1 ounce cream to cacao, 1 ounce heavy cream, and a ½ ounce chocolate syrup. I used Hershey's. And then 2 dashes of cocoa bitters, which if you don't have it, you can leave it out. But you could potentially shake this, which I would do if I'm only making one. But for the 3 of us, I threw them in the old blendy machine, and then
Blenditron.
It's a dessert style drink.
Cool.
Well, it looks good.
Yeah.
I love me some chocolate, and I'm glad you made a drink that's not going to potentially get you sued.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, that's grated dark chocolate on the top of it, by the way.
Awesome. I love chocolate.
It's like a chocolatini.
Yeah. It'd be like one of those yummy chocolate martinis, for sure. Thanks.
Damn, rum and chocolate go really well together.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, I used Appleton Estate Gold Rum.
It's good stuff.
It's a classic Jamaican number.
What if the movie sues you now? Like,
That'd be awesome.
it would be. Yeah, I will take any press is good press for the Autopod Decepticast.
Yeah, our patrons will certainly fund your defense. No, this is blowing me away. I love
really
the cocoa.
It's pretty good, yeah.
This will be a regular one at the club. At our club.
The club you've invented?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Ugly Mike, let us know what you think of this one. Caleb, you appear to have some sort of wrapped box in front of you.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
From what I understand, Ryan has got me a birthday present. My birthday was in February.
And this is coming out in April. I've had that thing for a
It's
while.
okay. I'll take presents anytime. Oh my God. Wow. That's amazing.
You've had that for months? I feel like we just discovered this.
I ordered it after that.
Okay.
Wow. Ryan got me a Wilkins Coffee t-shirt, which is awesome because we had a conversation a few weeks ago on one of the podcasts. We discovered that Jim Henson.
Would you turn it this way? Sorry.
Yeah. We discovered that one of Jim Henson's earliest gigs with puppeteering was for Wilkins Coffee ads, and it's like the earliest known version of kind of a Kermit character, and then this other character. They're incredibly violent, and the Kermit character's like, have you tried Wilkins Coffee? And the other character usually says, no, never heard of it. And then the character shoots him in the face.
Yeah.
For not just if the character said, no, I don't like it.
Sometimes he says things like that.
But a lot of times it's like, no, I'm not aware of it. And he kills him for just not even being aware of the product.
Some get it, some don't.
It's fucked up. They're great. Google on YouTube Wilkins Coffee.
Yeah, they were going around Twitter a couple months ago.
And there's hours of them. I guess he did dozens of these.
We played some on some of the recent episodes. Is it one that's been published? I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, they're great.
I think it was 149.
That's back in the golden days of television when an ad could have somebody shoot somebody else, and everybody had a good laugh about it on television.
He also blew up his house in one of them.
Stabbed him with a sword.
Cut his head off in a guillotine.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy.
I finally there was one that was a little weird that I didn't understand. It was like a homeless person going up asking for $20 for a cup of coffee, and the guy's like, for a cup of coffee, and he's like, you gotta look good for Wilkins or something.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out.
You don't want me to look like a bum or something.
Yeah. I guess he's putting down homeless people.
Or Wilkins is so good that he feels ashamed to order a Wilkins.
Yeah, he's got to keep up appearances. It's a strange one.
I think that's one where the guy didn't die, though.
No, it just kind of ended weird. You're like, huh? Thanks, Ryan. That's awesome.
You're welcome.
I love it. No, I love it. I love T-shirts, and I got a Wilkins Coffee T-shirt now. I really appreciate it.
You have both entered the age of 43. I'm not quite there yet. What's it like, guys?
Well, would you like a cup of Wilkins Coffee?
What's that?
It's fine. It's okay. I haven't worked out in a couple of weeks, and the old body runs down a lot faster if you don't keep it going pretty well. It doesn't bounce back.
That just happened at 43. You're like,
I'm noticing it in the past couple of years. Yes, kind of.
Okay.
The old body doesn't bounce back quite as well as
Maybe if we'd started from a better place by not tearing ourselves down
going
so
on
much in our 20s and
30s,
30s,
going on float trips,
doing toot skis,
piss in your tent. Yeah,
we don't have to bring all this back up. This feels very much about me.
Someone asks me how I'm doing, I just try to deflect it on how poorly they are doing. Ryan, how's your eating going?
Well, it's, since we're recording this 15 minutes after the last one, not great.
I don't feel so bad now. All right, Ryan, Aaron, what's going on with the?
We have a shout out on a positive note. Let's flip this script. Just wanted to say hello to Nick from Sheffield in Northern England. He sent us a very sweet note, and I won't go into all of it. It was personal, and just wanted to thank him as it was very kind and complimentary. There were some stories of his own history with the 86 movie, and he thanked us for providing a bit of escapism during these pandemic times, which, by the way, we were just doing this anyway. It wasn't to give anybody escapism, but I'm glad that it functions as that. I just don't want to make it seem like we thought we had a higher purpose.
No. It was a very thoughtful.
It was very sweet.
It's super, super thoughtful, and made us feel like it justifies me doing this.
Well, honestly, exactly. I mean, I do love the opportunities to hang out with you guys, but sometimes the business of life and work and family, other personal projects that I'm sure we all want to tackle, and certainly I do, but sometimes this can feel like a little bit of a grind, like it's a job in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And but notes like that are very inspiring and kind of reignite passion for the project.
They're motivating
to know that people connect with it.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, so the guys and I just wanted to say thank you for the note and the feedback, and it was touching and meaningful and refreshing.
Oh.
Yep.
Tell all your
Thanks.
friends. The Brits love us. We need to go to Britain and
Soak
bask
in all the glory.
Yes.
There'd be like 2 people there, and that
At the airport with a sign.
and a gun. So thank you, Nick, from all of us.
Yeah.
Yep, thanks.
Last episode recap. Batter Up, an episode that started Major League but ended up being more toy soldiers. The Transformers traveled to a distant planet to make an impact statement on the franchise's influence on youth culture. So let's kick off episode 45, Quest for Survival, written by Reed Robbins and Peter Salas and animated by the filthy degenerate spores at Toei.
I'm really needing to savor these Toei episodes.
Yep. Enjoy my.
I like-
What'll be nice is when and if they show up in season 3, you'll really get off on it. You've been spoiled by Toei.
Oh yeah. Toei.
The animation in this one in particular I like, especially their faces.
Yeah, there's some cool angles.
Yeah.
We open up. It's a rice farming situation, I believe, somewhere in Asia. I shall not venture a guess where. However, I will say the vocal performances of the villagers are problematic.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
I'm certain George Takei is not voicing any of these people. But perhaps almost as problematic as that is the fact that this grain field being farmed is now being invaded by Insecticons. Not just 3 of them, but perhaps thousands
a whole swarm.
and thousands of them. We then mosey on over to another rural stereotype.
I guess Texas, maybe?
The American South or perhaps Midwest. I don't know where you can grow wheat and have mountains in the background, but these dumb peckerwoods are doing their farming thing when the Insecticons show up to munch hay and wreck their day.
Now, yeah, also the guys say, let's get out of here, which, again, every time I hear it is distracting because it's supposedly the second most commonly said phrase in TV and movies.
Do people say that or just do it in real life?
I don't have those
IRL.
figures.
We need to get ourselves in more let's get out of here situations and see how we vocalize our malcontent.
When I'm here recording, I'm perpetually in
I'm
the let's get out of
just
here.
thinking it.
I mean, before we recorded today, you were like, guys, I got to let's get out of here by 1 o'clock.
Yeah, got a hard stop. Let's get
So
out of here.
the Insecticons attack this field, but also now they're just being jerks because
Yeah.
they destroy the machinery.
Yeah, didn't have to do that. But, it's fun to wreck shit. We transition to some kind of Latin American junglescape. The Insecticons are already here, binging on some banana leaves. The Autobots show up, a Season 2 entourage consisting of Trax, Warpath, Inferno, Smokescreen, and for a little G1 spice, Huffer's in the mix.
No, wait. You say Central American, but I mean, this is
Latin American.
All right, a Latin American, but this is not a different place. Isn't this the same place in Asia that they swarmed into?
I don't think bananas grow in Asia, do they?
But I'm not. What I'm saying is for the purposes of the continuity.
I think this is a third location.
Yeah, I think.
Really?
I
thought it was the same location.
I think we're showing that the Insecticons are going all over the
okay.
world.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm down with that.
They do battle, but these Season 2 peas in a pod get plucked from the vine, seasoned, steamed, and served with a side of salt and hot sake. They are quickly overpowered and have to retreat.
Yeah, they immediately fail.
It's like maybe you shouldn't send a bunch of weenies to fight thousands and thousands of Insecticons. Although it seems like it's just kind of the core 3 that's really fighting them right now, right? I don't know. They get the fuck out of there. We go back to Autobot headquarters.
It is almost like that scene didn't matter at all.
Smokescreen delivers his excuses for their humiliating defeat, and since he's a soft touch, Optimus Prime's good with it, but now he's going to send the real heroes in to finish the job. Bumblebee, Cosmos, and Spike,
So, oh man.
The A-Team.
They are in space collecting robotic insecticide from Floron 3,
Yeah.
which
I wonder if is that a callback to chlorofluorocarbons or a reference?
I don't think so.
Probably not. But
Floron is the real thing, but it's used in like coolant for machines and stuff.
Is this a planet or what is this?
Well, they call it Floron 3, which implies that it's a planet, but that would only make sense if it were uninhabited because it's not like we call our planet Sol 3. Like the naming convention for calling a planet 3 is typically it's the third one from the sun. And
So that means the star that's closest to them is Floron, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
It's the Floron system. But it's obviously not inhabited because there's this gigantic fucking can that's branded of robotic insecticide. Plus, the planetoid they are on is not a planet because it's not spherical.
No,
so
it's like Junkion.
By the way, guys, in my notes, I failed to call out that there's a brand new character we've never seen before that actually shows up. I totally missed it whenever I was naming them, in the form of Skids, who actually drops a line, and so we'll get to introducing him properly at the end of the episode. But
maybe the worst toy ever.
I think he's kind of cool.
He
looking,
looks
actually.
ridiculous.
I kind of like him.
His arms like come out of his hips.
Yeah, the toys, the modern toys of him correct that proportion mistake, but
It's even kind of evident on the show here. Like
Yeah.
when we see him and just say, there it
yeah,
is.
he's being repaired by our friend Hoist, who I guess I didn't know was part of the repair squad of Ratchet and Wheeljack and Perceptor's kind of in that
he
mix.
and Perceptor were working on the space bridge last episode.
Fair enough. Anyway,
Briefly.
as Ryan mentioned, the aforementioned trine of B, Cosmos, Spike, they're in the galaxy. They've got some space ingredients. It's been processed into a robot insecticide. And it's just in one large spray can.
So silly.
I hope it's enough to do the job.
Okay, I mean, this is a little cart before the horse, but this insecticide, I kept expecting it to pay off in some way.
Oh, yeah.
And it never does.
Nope.
Either way, we'll get there.
So it's as if this Insecticon menace has been troubling Earth long enough that they had to go do this scheme.
Right.
But somehow or another, they thought the only way they could stop it was out in the distant reaches of space. Why you sent Spike on that mission, I don't know what value he's adding, but go ahead, Ryan.
No, I was just going to say, I guess, yeah, the implication is that they're going to use it against the Insecticons,
Right.
but that's never said or really made clear, and they don't.
I think it's clear on its own.
I guess.
Do you think Spike's doing all this stuff like on his summer break?
That's true. He's
Maybe he's a
15 by
dropout.
now. Yeah.
Shouldn't he be in school?
He's going to the School of Hard Knocks.
That's the truth.
Because he's getting knocked around on the inside of
That's
Cosmos because Cosmos is he was tangled up in some kind of robotic space vines on the surface of this planet that have reached out and grabbed him, and he struggles to escape. He's jostling B and Spike from within. Spike crawls towards the auxiliary laser jet, which he is directed to push to give Cosmos enough power to break free and escape back to Earth. And I guess Cosmos would have been fucked if Spike and B weren't there.
Seems weird he couldn't do it himself.
Right. Why would you have a button inside of you that you can't access that power?
That's why Spike is there.
What's the human equivalent of that?
An appendix.
I mean, I can't control anything inside myself.
No. No, you shut your pants.
The Insecticon horde is flying towards Decepticon headquarters over the ocean. The familiar tower raises from the sea, opens its maw, and accepts the six-legged arthrobotopods.
Yeah, I guess the Insecticons patched things up with the Decepticons.
It feels like there's some animosity and suspicion throughout
True.
this episode.
It is weird, though, like, that they're agreeing to give the Decepticons Energon, especially because they immediately fuck the Insecticons over by once again only giving them 1 cube each.
Yes, it's true.
Sorry, I didn't even describe what was happening, but...
Yeah, the Insecticons are in the base. They're put inside the, I don't know, they call it an Energon transfer machine. It's a chamber that siphons the energy that's been pre-digested. They only show the 3 Insecticons getting into it. I have to assume that they actually have thousands of these pods.
Yeah, I think that's the implication.
And they're sucking the energy from all the Insecticons that are out there. And anyway, the energy is harvested and processed into Energon cubes. Of course, as is common with the shtick between the Decepticons and the Insecticons, whenever they deliver payment, the Decepticons to the Insecticons aren't happy with it. It feels rather paltry.
Yeah, Megatron
given the
says-
work that they've put in.
Yeah, and Megatron's like, well, it's just really hard to make.
Yeah, what? So just on the surface of it, without knowing that there's actually a scheme here, to build a thing that actually wasn't an efficient operation where you get basically nothing out of all this work seems pretty stupid.
Yeah, but we know better.
Megatron explains the transfer operation is just not efficient. It's not yielding as much Energon as expected. The Insecticons are disrespectful.
This makes me think of how like the person who had copyright to the name Ghostbusters, he went to the studio and was like, "You can use this name in exchange for like a portion of the profits," and never got any of that money because somehow Ghostbusters never made money, according to the studio.
Is that how we got the real Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a story we need to get into sometime.
Didn't we talk about it? Maybe we haven't. Anyway, but
sounds familiar.
Yeah, like that's why the cartoon's called The Real Ghostbusters. But yeah, studios do that all the time.
I feel like we need to do a quick explainer. There was an animated series called The Real Ghostbusters at the same time as another animated series called Ghostbusters. And the Ghostbusters one, if I remember correctly, was like a Hanna-Barbera sort of animated thing. It did not have the familiar characters we know from Ghostbusters. There's a whole other troop of characters in a whole other weird, random, wacky situation with wacky villains. There was no connection.
Well, because the guy who owned the copyright to Ghostbusters, it was a live-action show. And then he agreed to give the name to...
Oh, it was?
Yeah. The animated version was just an animated version of the live-action show.
What? Was it British or something?
I don't think so. I think it was just in the 60s or 70s. And so then he let them use the name Ghostbusters, the studio use it. But then they fucked him over, and so he made a cartoon of his own called Ghostbusters. But then they just turned around and called their cartoon The Real Ghostbusters. And it's just studios.
But also, I can't imagine anybody from a financial standpoint, because it wasn't produced until after the hit Ghostbusters movie came out. So why would anybody greenlight and fund a Ghostbusters TV show that had nothing to do with Peter Venkman, Ray Spangler, Winston Zedmore, and the other one I'm forgetting?
Someone thought that there'd be some money to be
I
made.
guess the name Ghostbusters would be enough to draw kids. I love Ghostbusters. I'm going to watch this show. What the fuck is happening?
I mean, that's why Michael Andrews and Mike Seibert are starting a podcast called The Real Autopod Decepticast.
We really should have locked down that trademark.
Yeah.
But so like studios do that all the time to fuck people over. They just say that the movie, through financial trickery, they claim the movies don't make money. Right. So they don't have to pay people.
Well, that was a tangent.
That's what's happening here.
It's a good one.
An unfunny nerd one at that matter.
No, I thought that was a good one.
Megatron, as we said, is fucking over the Insecticons. He walks into the very next room where the production facility is.
Humming right along.
And this is where we learn that he was lying. Lots of Energon cubes are being processed, but still, I take issue with the whole thing. Even if he was honest with the Insecticons about all of this and even paid them properly, why would the Insecticons do this? They're eating energy and creating energy, getting energy sucked off of them, and then getting paid in energy.
It doesn't make a great deal of sense.
Now, if the Decepticons had something else of value, perhaps it could make sense, but Cosmos is swerving through space. It turns out that the plants that he got caught up in, those vines, they've left spores on him that grew into full-on vines now at this point that are siphoning energy from him and causing him to lose control.
Yeah.
So he ejects Spike and Bumblebee. As he crashes to the Earth, Spike and Bee go on a short search mission. They discover a bundle of slithering, snake-like vines continuing to grow on Cosmos, and they eventually are fully enveloping him. Spike and Bee are going to go to Autobot headquarters for help.
And obviously, I mean, we'll see later just how resilient they are, but this plant is obviously super tough, surviving the vacuum of space and then re-entry.
Yeah. Are they really plants or are they robots?
They are referred as plants throughout all of this, but I think of them as robot plants.
Okay.
Because they call them, what is it? We haven't come to what they call them yet, but it's like what is it? I have it in my notes.
Morphobots?
I think that's right, Caleb. Look at Caleb getting it.
So is
It is Morphobots.
So are they plants or are they robots?
I think they're robotic plants.
Or are they robots? Like, what are they? What do you guys usually? What's your sticking point? Like, he's not a car. He's a
Mimicking a car.
That's if they're transformed.
So are they robots mimicking a plant?
I just think they're robotic plants.
Okay. I
I don't think they're mimicking anything.
They
just are what they are.
Okay, fair enough. Cool. Thank you for helping me.
There is a funny gag.
We better go back to headquarters for help.
You're right. Cause we're gonna go get help.
Tell Prime that the insecticide is still intact.
Hold tight, Cosmos. We'll be back before you can fire a spark plug.
Where am I gonna go?
I just thought that was funny.
All right. But it's just, we cut back to Autobot headquarters where Teletran has a great view of inside the Decepticon base.
It's that God mode that he's got.
Well, then it occurred to me, like, we don't really see, like, the Autobots don't really have a spy like the Decepticons do. I mean, B is a reconnaissance officer, but he sucks.
They have the Sky Spy satellite.
I didn't even
Yeah,
realize,
that's true.
I didn't even realize B was a reconnaissance. Like, I didn't realize that was one of his responsibilities.
I think that's, like, in his tech specs.
That's his official
Well, that
responsibility.
goes to show you how bad he is at it. I didn't even realize that that's what he does.
But they send him on. Well, I guess is it reconnaissance to go out into space and gather materials to be processed into an insecticide, which also means that Cosmos has a processing plant inside of him.
Well, see, that's what was confusing
He has
as to whether they bought it, like, from a or they made
a
it.
space dealer.
I think Cosmos is very versatile. He's got an escape pod on him.
He can be big inside.
Yeah,
he can be small inside.
I'm actually pretty impressed with Cosmos' abilities.
He's kind of the shit.
He is. I really agree with that.
I actually like Cosmos. I remember not necessarily being a fan of him as a kid, but as I've watched these episodes when he's around, I think he's kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree.
B and Spike arrive back at Autobot headquarters. Optimus demands to know where Cosmos is. All of a sudden, B's back starts itching. It seems those spores are on him. The plants scrape off some for Perceptor's analysis. Meanwhile, the plants have taken over the whole valley.
Yeah.
Vines just waving in the air like a field of wacky, waving, inflatable, arm flailing tube men. We go to commercial. You guys get that reference, right?
Yeah, it's Family Guy.
Gas station. That's a Family Guy reference?
Yeah, that's where I heard the term wacky, waving, inflatable, arm flailing tube men.
Oh, that's their actual name.
Oh, is it?
It is, yes.
That's ridiculous.
Hope it makes it better for you.
Yeah.
Prime collects a company of creeper cutters to whack these invasive weeds. Beachcomber tracks, zow! Ratchet, Smokescreen, Huffer, Bee, Spike roll out. As the crew cruises through the valley, they are located by Laserbeak. He makes the report. Autobots are going to retrieve Robo-Insecticide, and that insecticide is guarded by alien plant life. Never mind that, because Megatron wants that insecticide. The Decepticons depart to claim the chemical for the cause.
I guess, again, in case he needs to use it against the Insecticons? Question mark?
Yeah.
But that doesn't even come... Well, whatever.
It's,
We'll get
it's
there.
not mentioned. I that was what I was thinking immediately, like he was implying, but they never really they don't flesh that out anymore.
One other fun detail I wanted to... I like the Laserbeak Soundwave interaction here.
Always shuts the door. Yeah, I like that too.
Sounds like
Sounds
an
like a
old
trash can.
yeah, an old rusty lid. Oscar the Grouch's
I
house.
like the pause where it's done and goes.
I just don't think we've ever seen that. I think it's kind of automatic normally.
Right, it's pretty funny.
Maybe his springs are busted.
Yeah,
No springs.
I like
He needs
it.
some, like, what is it you do with, like, floor varnish or something to tighten up the joints?
Oh, yes.
Pledge?
He actually kind of needs the opposite of that. His joints are too
No,
loose.
I don't know how. I don't know how
He needs
toys
some
work.
WD-40.
Yes.
I don't know.
I think there's something else mechanical happening inside of him that we need to be concerned about.
Sure, for real.
We go back to Autobot headquarters. Perceptor is making the call. These plants are called Morphobots. I know. You thought they were extinct. I did too, guys, but that's what they are.
Yeah, the Autobots seem to know about these things.
We don't really go much into the history of
Well,
might-
at all.
That might be interesting, but nope. They're on Earth, and they're in a desperate search for sustenance, and their favorite food is robots.
I
So
thought
be careful, Autobots.
This part was cool where Thrust is flying over the Insecticon army, and there's some cool angles in this one where you see like his shadow going over the ground.
Yes.
That was neat.
And the loop-de-loop in the sky is also nice. We don't really know why Thrust is here, but because he is here, Megatron asks Thrust to deliver a message that the Insecticons should not go beyond the mountains on their horizon at which they are currently situated until the Decepticons take care of Autobots and the insecticide that they possess. And the Insecticons don't take to Thrust's message at all. They perceive it as a suspicious attempt to keep them away from something good, so they assault Thrust and then gather their horde and head towards Megatron and past the mountains.
Yeah. Why would they believe him?
I mean,
Like, it's pretty off-brand for Megatron to
Right.
care.
I would be suspicious.
at the same time, if Megatron had never sent anybody to deliver a message, it wouldn't even be a problem.
This is a very convoluted episode. I enjoyed it, though.
So many Insecticons. Where do they all go later? Why do we...
Oh, you'll see. You don't remember?
No.
The Decepticons arrive at the Valley of the Vines. First, Megatron, Starscream, and Soundwave. Megatron is fascinated by these plants, but Starscream wants to blast them, which he does. His beam ricochets and comically knocks him back to the ground.
It's interesting that, and I guess maybe it's because Perceptor, analyzed the DNA or whatever, but the Autobots know what Morphobots are, but the Decepticons do not.
I wonder if the Autobots were more space travel-y than the Decepticons.
Starscream's a scientist.
He was not always a Decepticon, though, was he?
Well, I mean, I don't think he was when he was with Jetfire.
This is
Right.
another example to me where they always are switching the dynamic
Yeah,
of where
I know what you're talking
Megatron is cautious and Starscream is not versus Starscream being cautious and Megatron is not. It's like they always flip that dynamic.
I think they're just whatever one is, the other is immediately contrary.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So they go hide.
Yeah, the Autobots are en route. The Decepticons hide, leaving the Autobots to deal with these wiggly vines and retrieve the insecticide, at which point they'll ambush the Autobots and snatch the chemicals. To open a path, Warpath pulls up. He pops some shells at the plants, and Ironhide fires some freeze from his fingers. Neither of these seem to be working.
I don't like the finger holes. Ironhide's nitrogen comes out of his finger holes, and they keep showing it, and it's creepy.
It is. It is weird. Just why? He's never shot nitrogen from finger holes before. He properly retracts his hand and then shoots it out of his wrist holes. That's how you do it, animators. Well, neither are working, and I think we're going to go to commercial. Yes. We go back from commercial. Blaster has a plan. I love how Optimus Prime
Is immediately like, Blaster, no music.
Don't you remember from 5 episodes, we hate your ass?
And then he's a real stick in the mud sometimes.
Yeah.
But then we get fucking Cold Slither, man.
Blaster half transforms into
Yeah.
a boombox and just kind of waddles in front of the plants.
Blaster's music!
I know. It's frying my brain transistors too.
The music's working!
Blaster, move closer to them. Now step back. Who says plants aren't intelligent? The Morphobots are repelled by your music.
Yeah, like the rest of us.
Yeah, he plays that Cold Slither. We discover that his fellow Autobots aren't the only ones repelled by his musical tastes.
I wouldn't mind it if Cold Slither was in every episode.
It's been in a lot.
Yeah. Well, it was in the one with Make Tracks, and it was in this one. It was in a couple more before that too. So
I wonder if they just spent a lot of money to produce the track Cold Slither. And
they
they're like, we got to divide this up among a lot
don't-
of episodes.
They probably spent very little on it and was like, let's milk this for all it's worth. I mean, either situation is like, fuck it.
In a sense, it is their go-to contemporary music.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
And you got to pretend like contemporary music is the worst.
Even when it's obviously working, that Blaster is being able to that repelling the plants. Prime puts in a dig who says plants aren't intelligent? The Morphobots are repelled by your music.
It's true. I mean, the Autobots, they don't compliment him ever when clearly it works. They're able
do
to
after they're done.
They're able to progress through this field of foul flowers, and Blaster's music keeps it's strange looking. It keeps the arms of the plants locked in midair, so they're unable to grab them as they walk through the field. And then Ironhide, I guess for like just in case good measure, continues to freeze them as they walk through.
Prime
the field.
does compliment Blaster at the end of this, where he says, "Blaster, you've just gone platinum," which is I guess a dad joke, but it doesn't even make any sense.
It ain't WAP, but it's still a pretty good bop.
Pretty good jam.
Yeah. They rescue Cosmos, who hands over the insecticide. The time is now. Decepticons attack. Dirge, Ramjet, Blitzwing, they lead the assault. Shots are popping off all over the Lily of the Valley. Megatron flips into firearm mode, and Soundwave blows up the unprotected insecticide. Will the human race starve?
Okay, lots to think about here. First of all, Megatron, didn't you want that? So now you don't. Also, you fucking idiots brought something so toxic that if it was used, it could cause the whole human race to starve? What was your plan?
No. You're talking about the insecticide?
Yeah.
No, the human race is going to starve if the Insecticons are able to continue doing what they've been doing.
Oh, that was not clear to me.
Which is eating the humans' food supply.
It comes right on the tails of him blowing it up, and then Spike reacts as if that poison is going to make the human race starve.
No. I think you just interpreted.
I think it's just badly written.
Correctly. Well, I mean, I interpreted it.
You interpreted it.
Listeners, we leave it to you. What do you think this all means?
You decide.
It is really stupid because Megatron does either way. He implies that would be a nice thing to have in his
arsenal
of things to fuck over the Insecticons with.
Okay, maybe you are right, because I was confused, because then Prime says you'll never get away with this, Megatron, and I'm like, get away with what?
And that is true, because Megatron is also endorsing the Insecticon eating all the human food, because remember, they're the only robots that we know of that can process organic materials and turn it into Energon. None of this matters. What does matter is the fact that the vines have grabbed Megatron and they're pulling him in. He ultimately gets rescued, but things at this point aren't looking good for the Decepticon cause. The Insecticons arrive. He believes to save him, but the Insecticons are actually hungry for a vegetarian hot plate. So I think that what this means is the Insecticons are interpreting this field of vines as the thing that Megatron did not want them to discover.
Right.
And so they're going to go eat those vines, but unfortunately for them, these tulips have a taste for termites. You know what I'm saying?
I do like whenever Megatron gets captured by the vines, he talks to the Seekers and he says, "Don't just stand there with your cockpits open, you fools."
Yeah, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's a very salacious line. This whole fight seems like a bunch of unconnected scenes. It's just weird.
Also, it made it look like the plant moved, but really just the vines move. I assume they can't walk about like little. Well, now it's dragging him. Never mind, they can move.
And Morphobot's moving, yo.
The Insecticons are going to come in. They're going to mistake these metallic plants for organic plants, I guess, that they can eat. They fly in. The plants actually end up feasting on the many multitudes of Insecticons, devouring
instantly
all of them except for the core 3, who we see bug out, followed in flight by their fellow Decepticons. The Morphobots, guys, actually save the day.
Mm-hmm.
They're heroes.
I guess Cosmos must have really thick armor.
Yeah.
Well, he can. Nope, doesn't. Nope. They just go with it. I can't even rationalize it.
I have seen some people trying to rationalize this. There is a line where they say they're eating the robot bugs or they like the robot bugs. That doesn't take away from the fact that earlier in the episode, I think it was Prowl told the Autobots, be careful, they eat robots. Like it doesn't distinguish between robots and robot bugs.
Yeah.
But some people will try and say it's because they're bugs that they are able to devour these and weren't able to devour
That's trying
Cosmos.
real hard.
But I think it's a stretch.
Yeah.
Despite being the heroes of the episode, now the human race will not starve, Ryan. These things can't stay here on Earth.
I did not see this coming. I did not foresee them loading these fucking plants into a ship and sending them off to a robot insect planet.
Because you're not stupid.
Well, I mean, I guess they didn't. What else are they going to do with them?
Well,
They
Use
couldn't.
the insecticide on them?
Yeah.
well, that's blown up.
Speaking
Oh,
of that,
fuck.
what was the point of it?
I'm sorry. Even for me, I'm having a hard time keeping up with what's going on.
The point
I'm
of the
sorry.
insecticide was to take care of the Insecticons.
Gotcha.
But that got blowed up, and so these plants took care of the Insecticons.
Okay.
But now you got to deal with the plants,
Yeah.
which, by the way, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Presuming, if the idiots are right and they only eat insect robots, I guess the Autobots could have picked them up and moved them over by their base.
Yeah.
Or maybe they had Blaster.
Heard them?
It would have taken a long time. I guess they had a long time because they had to build a ship,
Mm-hmm. Well,
which they stuffed all these things in after moving them to Autobot
They're just-
headquarters. Why not build the ship by where they are?
they're just repurposing Aaron's toy spaceship.
That's true.
Oh, from our last
Yeah.
episode, Child's Play.
Holy shit! You don't need that.
Callback.
It's just an interesting. It's they got to do something with it.
Yeah, I guess we missed the whole episode where they get back to Earth,
They landed.
and then it's just like
We've got nowhere to park this.
dump it in the ocean.
They could make it their ocean base. Park it right next to the Decepticons. Before we go, actually, the rocket is fired into space. We're going to keep Earth safe from this invasion. But before we can go, Prime gets a quick call from Perceptor. Inside the Ark, he posits the need for another ship soon because Autobots forgot all about the plants that were in his possession, which have grown to plentiful proportions.
So Perceptor's dead.
Should be.
Unfortunately, he's not.
Anyway.
How could they have forgotten about that?
don't
They're
know.
at their headquarters.
Yeah, you know.
You just need a little gag, don't you?
I still liked this episode.
Fucking
I like the Insecticons.
fucking Reed
And it's-
Robbins and Peter Salas.
And it's really
They end
It's
with
really coolly
Perceptor
animated.
suffering. That's how it
It's
is.
always fun to watch nerds struggle.
Perceptor gets such a
Bullies.
yeah. That's how it ends.
That's
Yeah.
it.
These two this episode and last week's episode, two previous episodes to last week's. The two episodes that we've recorded today are weird ones. They're just weird. I don't know how to. They're episodes.
I applaud them because they're trying to do different things.
I agree.
Back to our conversation with Flint Dilly, when they started to recognize that this could get stale or maybe was already stale.
Uh-huh.
It's good that they're just
Nope.
trying different shit.
I'm good
Yeah.
with it.
And to Ryan, and I do think this was despite some of the what's the point moments of this episode, I did like it better than the Aaron episode. So they're trying.
Yeah.
I wanted to call out a couple fun details here, or just sort of. There is a third-party Cosmos called Clato, which you guys probably like that reference.
the day the Earth stood still.
And it comes with, as an accessory, a growing spore
Oh, that's cool.
that you can attach to it.
That's cool. That is cool.
Yeah, I have that toy, just so you guys know.
Brag.
Totally.
Oh, it's
Not even a humble brag.
Nope.
It's like
Just
what
a
do you
straight
call,
up brag.
What do you call it when it's not a humble brag?
Just a
Being an asshole.
Also, Ironhide's finger guns, which we expressed discontent with, are included in the masterpiece Ironhide figure. You can flip out his normal hands for his little creepy finger
Great.
hole hands.
Ugh.
That's good stuff. Also, this was the first appearance of Skids. We call out whenever a new character shows up. Voiced by Michael Chain. We don't need to go into him for the millionth time. His function is Theoretician, which his tagline is, deep down, we are more like than unlike humans. He's a daydreamer. He often bumps into things at 60 miles an hour while pondering Earth life instead of a Decepticon attack. He considers Earth one vast lab for his research. His findings are often invaluable to fellow Autobots. He has enormous memory storage capacity, carries a liquid nitrogen rifle with 600-foot range, twin electroblaster at 20,000 volts, can short-circuit almost anything. At 50 miles an hour, he can stop within 25 feet. I don't know if that's impressive or not. He's not very fast, often in danger due to daydreaming. Just calling out, there is a third-party masterpiece version of Skids, also done by X-Transbots. I own this figure, but inexplicably, Takara, the next G1 masterpiece figure, is Skids. He's in 2 episodes, and for whatever reason, after RC is the latest release that Takara has put out that is a G1.
Everybody's clamoring for the Dreamer.
They're throwing Skids out here. I'll probably buy it and replace my X-Transbots because I prefer to have the Takara Tomy versions if they're available. But there are a few repaints they could do of this based on the Diaclone mode, and there's a couple other rando characters that use the same body type. So the only thing I can think of is that sort of cash grab. But he's obscure. The things, the duplicates you could use his mold for are even more obscure. So I don't understand the move, but hey, they own the rights. They can do whatever they want.
I like how
there's
these
a
toys
million characters people want to see, but they did Skids.
I like how some of these manufacturers come out with the they deal with the obscure. I mean, from our vantage, it's like, oh, they did that.
I agree with
It's
you,
not
and that's where third party has been excelling. They fill in those gaps. It's really weird for Takara Tomy to do that because they pretty much stick to. We're on our 3rd version of Optimus Prime. We're about to be on our 3rd version of Starscream. They've done 2 Bumblebees. They kind of stick to the core characters.
Okay.
But we would love to see them do. I guess I would love to see them do more of mainstream characters that they just won't, like a Jazz. People would go ape shit for a Jazz. And there are a couple molds you could do off of it, but
they haven't. They're just doing stuff like this.
Why? I don't understand it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I'm still talking. New voice actors, new characters, writers. We got a couple of writers here, Reed Robbins and Peter Salas. They are a writing duo. They also wrote down Countdown to Extinction. So I can't remember if we went into it whenever we covered that. That's a very early season 1 episode. They also both wrote together on Challenge of the GoBots, which seems like a conflict of interest. Peter Salas didn't really do much more television writing. However, Reed Robbins wrote for The Smurfs, Captain Planet, and is also credited as a composer for 65 episodes of The Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and 52 episodes of Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad. And that's what I got there. Should we go to
the real world?
Reed Robbins is a good superhero alter ego name.
It is.
Quest for Survival aired November 5th, 1985. In American Top 40, it's still the Miami Vice theme at number 1. So I picked another 1985 song I'm quite fond of, Prince's Raspberry Beret.
Yeah, good choice.
This song reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in July, just behind Duran Duran's A View to a Kill. And the song is about a teenage romance and losing his virginity to a girl with a raspberry-colored beret, the kind you find in a secondhand store. This little tidbit is odd. The US B-side of this single is She's Always in My Hair, which I don't recognize offhand, but according to Wikipedia, it's a rock and roll number with guitars and organs and emotional lyrics screamed toward the end.
What album was Raspberry Beret on?
I don't remember.
85. That would have been prior to Purple Rain.
The album was Around the World in a Day. I'm not familiar with that album even. Okay, I'm wondering if that B-side is on that album. Anyway, go ahead.
Following Prince's death, this song charted again at number 33 on the Hot 100 in May of 2016.
It is a very popular song, but I
would
there are
think
more popular Prince songs.
Yeah, I would imagine. I just did not look that up.
Like Bat Dance.
Oh, God. Batman. Okay. At the box office, hey, bitches, it's still Death Wish 3, because this was 2 days earlier than our last episode aired. So, you like that?
It is a conundrum. It's hard to believe. I mean, they had to have put in a whole lot of work just to see it all get done in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Get broadcast in 3 weeks.
So we'll cover a film that I actually haven't visited lately, but I remember watching a lot on TV as a kid when I was sick at home from school. Enemy Mine. Do you know this movie?
Negative.
It stars Dennis Quaid and Louis Gossett Jr. The movie is a 1985 sci-fi film about a human and an alien soldier stranded on an inhospitable planet, and they have to overcome their mutual hatred to survive. It's set in the late 21st century with an interstellar war between humans and Dracs, which are bipedal humanoid reptiles. And this two of these guys are on the planet for like 3 years. Slight spoiler, but Dennis Quaid ends up having to care for Gossett's child. The Dracs reproduce asexually, and it's pretty weird and sad because the
Louis Gossett is the Drax.
Yes.
Okay.
The planet they end up crashed on is populated by humans using Dracs as slaves. Eventually, they land there to start this mine. And which makes it doubly weird, they chose to cast a black man as the alien, even though he's in heavy makeup and unrecognizable as African-American. This film did not do well commercially. It made $12.3 million on a budget of $29 million, though strangely it was a huge success in the former Soviet Union, becoming the first Western sci-fi film shown in Russian theaters.
I wonder what it was about world or American culture that they found this to be a commentary on.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I like this movie, but again, I haven't seen it since I was probably in my teens. Fun facts from this week in history. Cetacean news. A wayward whale returned to the Pacific after a 3.5-week freshwater cruise to as far as 70 miles inland. The whale, dubbed Humphrey, was directed back to the ocean by means of flute-like recorded sounds of fellow humpbacks feeding.
Nice.
That's it.
I do find the idea that we can kind of understand whales fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was it. That was it. I've got a little real world tidbit.
Prairie dogs have a lot of vocalizations that we can understand too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like what?
Like they have different words.
Or that's more of a dolphin. Ryan, go ahead.
They have different words for different predators, including humans.
What do they call us?
I'm not...
Caleb?
Great. They're more like barks, but I'm sorry I brought it up.
In Japanese, Morphobot is pronounced Moru-fobato.
Love it.
All right, well then, let's do this.
Script deviations.
But there's not much to say because all I did was about the writers because there's no script online. So
And
you
I
covered
stole
it.
all that glory.
Yeah.
Well, we should know. We should talk sometimes.
I'm just probably going to keep doing the writers until I can find a script.
Oh, well, I had been doing the writers. Okay, how about this? You do the writers since it's script related. I'll do the actors when they show up. Is that our new thing?
Yeah, I've never done the actors.
I know, but I had done the writers in
Right.
times when
Sure.
you haven't.
Nope, that works.
Okay. Rate the scheme.
Ugh.
Poor. Maybe.
I think we covered it pretty well. Why would the
Yeah.
Insecticons ever let Megatron suck the energy out of them when there's nothing in it for them? They don't need Energon cubes.
Every scheme in here in this episode, and there are like three different schemes going on, can pretty much be summed up with what? The insecticide drove me crazy.
It seems all convoluted to me.
TF Wiki noted that in the debut episode there were Insecticon clones, and they were shown to be eliminated with Trailbreaker's force field, which cut off a control beam and caused them to disintegrate because I guess it cut it off from who makes them. Is it Shrapnel that actually creates
thought it was
the clones?
Is it?
Whoever.
No,
whatever.
I think you're right. I don't remember.
That calls into question the need for robotic insecticide to begin with.
Yeah.
But if you don't need robotic insecticide, you don't need to send people to space. And if you don't send people to space, you never get plant spores on you that you can bring back to Earth, and you don't have a story.
I just think they could have just been coming from space. Like, Cosmos could have just come back from space with it on him.
Yeah. Maybe the Autobots are investigating an asteroid that has energy properties or something. I don't know. Hey, we should write this. Let's create a competitor to TF Reanimated.
We'll call it
With all our
we'll call it
time.
de-animated.
That's really what it is.
Yeah. I can't do any better than that.
So okay, we can. I'm the ghost of the iconic moment. You know.
I like the giant swarms of Insecticons. They're some of my favorite characters, and they're really well animated in this one.
As a child, from my childhood, I only really remember from this episode the tentacles swaying in the air when Blaster plays his music. For some reason, that stuck out to me.
I don't remember this one.
And it kind of freaks me. It's scary, actually, in a weird way. Like those plants.
It looks
taking over.
creepy.
Yeah, it's just creepy. Mm-hmm.
I noted Blaster walking around on two legs.
Yeah,
in
I did
tape
too.
Deck mode was pretty silly. But honestly, it is the image of those plants attached to Cosmos. I didn't remember much about this episode, but that image was ingrained.
Next time on the Autopod Decepticast.
Listen, do-da-do. Omega's got a secret. Do-da-do. Do you promise not to tell?
Whoa, no, there's not a...
It said in the lyrics thing that there is,
they go,
but whatever.
Do you
I
promise
feel
not
like
to tell?
that doesn't feel right. Though.
Do whoa.
Closer.
Do.
Let me whisper in your ear.
Do.
Say the words you long to hear. Omega Supreme has a multi-million-year-old beef with the Constructicons.
I'm excited about this one.
I like getting into the depths of the backstory.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Is this the second or third backstory for them?
I think it's... You're right. Is it second or third?
It's at least second, but I don't know.
I think the third doesn't come into play until season 3.
Yeah,
I think it's
maybe.
the second.
Backstories are, when I hear backstories are my favorite on these episodes for real.
Maybe you'll show up for this one.
I always show up.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I know. Wow.
I'll be honest.
What a strange insinuation.
Yeah, these past two episodes have been hard to come up with like something witty to talk about. They're just
They are so wacky.
yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
If you'd like to support us, you can do it one of two ways via Patreon, or maybe you could hook yourself up with some merch at the APDC store. Check out the goods at our website or at patreon.com/APodDcast. Oh, and speaking of store, just want to acknowledge and shout out Mark from Ireland, who inquired about a print back in the fuck old days of November, and it got buried in our inbox, and I didn't see it until now, and I did respond, but just wanted to say sorry, Mark. And if you're still interested in the print, we got one for you. Hook us up, give us a holler.
He's like, fuck you guys.
You guys are not a professional business organization, and I will buy prints elsewhere.
Well, we're clearly not a professional business organization.
But anyway, shout out to Mark, and thank you for listening and inquiring, and I am embarrassed and I apologize. Continue to listen to us. If nothing else, just keep listening.
Yes.
Apple Podcasts.
Or don't. Who gives a shit?
Oh, no.
Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, and TuneIn. Apple Podcast reviewers, give us a review. And
give us a
use
reviews. 5 stars, please.
Social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, at APodDcast. And check it all out at AutopodDecepticast.com.
Yeah. Bye.
Great episode.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Hang on.
And happy St. Patrick's Day.
It's a great time. Okay, I think we're done. There was a funny interaction lately that's been a meme at my house. You know, we've probably been making like little jokes throughout her life that Carolina and Harrison will be in a relationship when they get older because they're about the same age. Now that they're entering adolescence, there's that weird dichotomy of I'm sure they're both interested in the opposite sex, but would still never, or whatever, maybe same sex, but they're not going to express. It's still weird to express that at this stage in their lives. And Melody brought up, I think she asked if Carolina had any crushes. Carolina's like, I don't know any boys. You know, she's in dance and she hasn't been going to school at a physical location. She's like, literally, I don't interact with any boys, and the only boys I interact with are gay. The boys at the dance studio, or even like they're entering that stage, they feel comfortable enough to be out. And so she's like, all I know are gay boys. So Melody's like, well, there's Harrison. And of course, Carolina goes like, ew. And Melody goes, you haven't seen Harrison in a long time. He's grown to be a handsome boy. And it just made us all laugh.
Right.
And now, every now and again, Carolina will say, Harrison's grown into a handsome boy, just to make fun of Melody.
That's funny. Of course, my boys have been in school, and Harrison had his first track meet last week, and it is crazy to see the difference in size of boys and girls in junior high. Like there are boys that are on the track team they're men for all. I mean, they're bigger than I am. It's crazy the range of sizes and maturity, physical maturity. Mm-hmm. It's just weird. It's just so bizarre.
Who is the most physically mature boy of our junior high days that you can think of? Is there any? Were there any Chad specimens?
There's like, remember?
Yeah, but he was like 4 years older than everybody. He was just dumb as fuck.
He was driving. He was driving to 8th grade. That's true. He was driving to 8th grade.
That guy was a total Marty. He is a piece of shit.
He's almost certainly dead.
I hope so.
Why would you think that?
I don't know. It just seems like he's going to get in some trouble and get knifed.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
He wasn't. Well, let's Google it later.
Cells is the sponsor of Autopod Decepticast. Yes.